Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope that you are all good. In today's video we are doing a Easter nail art tutorial which is going to be featuring the new Kiki London Spring Macrons collection, and we're also going to be doing a bit of reverse stamping as well. So jumping straight in, this is the latest Kiki London collection. It is called the Macrons Spring 2023 collection and it is absolutely dreamy. As you can see, there are 8 super cute shades that all have this black, grey, speckled macron effect, which is really fun. I did do a swatch video over on the Kiki London YouTube channel, so I will leave that linked in the description box below. And I do have another new item here as well. I think I briefly showed you this in a previous video, but I haven't actually used it yet. This is the new April Showers plate from Miss Lucy UK, which is super cute. I feel as though it's a very spring vibe plate, but it has that little hint of Easter there as well. So I'm really looking forward to using that. So let's jump into the design. The base color, the predominant color we're going to be using as the base on this design is Cookies and Cream, which is a really cute. Cookies and Cream pretty much sums this colour up perfectly. It's a really lovely creamy shade with those black macron inspired speckles. So I'm going to be doing this on 3 of the nails. I really love this colour in the collection for a base for any kind of nail art. So I knew on these 3 nails we were going to be doing a bit of nail art, so I wanted to keep the base the pale, more plain neutral color, and I really love this one. Then on the little finger I did want to have a little bit of sparkle in this set, so we're going to come in with the beautiful Champagne Spritz. Champagne Spritz is actually from, I think it was last year's or the year before's Kiki London Spring Bling collection, which featured, I think it was either 6 or 8 beautiful glittery spring shades. This one I tend to use all year round, but I do especially love it in spring. So that's our first coat of gel polishes done. I've popped them in for 30 seconds to cure, and we're then going to come in and do the second coat. On this part of the video I only actually do the second coat of the Cookies and Cream because I was going to do something different on the glitter nail. I was going to add in some chunky glitters, but I decided not to. So further along in the video we do pop down the second coat of Champagne Spritz because I decided against those chunky glitters just because I felt as though they were going to overpower the design a little bit when everything was looking a little bit more delicate. So now we've got our bases done, let's move on and do some nail art. So on the first nail we're going to be doing a marble design as kind of the second layer, I suppose, in this design. Then we're going to be doing some foils and stamping. I love layered nail art. I think it's really fun to do, and I always love the finished result as well. So we're going to be starting off, like I said, with that marble. So I'm going to come in with the Kiki London blooming gel and apply a thin layer of this to the entire nail. Now you leave this wet, so you don't pop this in to cure yet. And then I'm going to take 3 more colours from the Macron Spring collection. So we have Blueberry Whisk, Sweet Lime. This one I really love. It's such a cute shade, and I love this collection as well because all of the shades work so well together. And then we are also going to come in with a third shade, which I selected Lush Lavender. So all these 3 colours are quite soft and subtle, but I think they just worked brilliantly together. So I'm going to pop those 3 colours down on my palette next to each other, and then I'm going to take a dotting tool and kind of create a marble on my palette. So I'm just going to swirl through these colours. I love a gel polish marble. They are just so fun to do. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Kiki London round nail art brush, and we're going to pick that marble up from the palette and transfer it into our blooming gel. So you can just see I'm scooping it up, and then using the side of my brush that doesn't have the gel polish on, I'm floating that into the blooming gel, and that's basically going to pull the blooming gel is going to help pull the marble off your brush onto the nail, and then it's also going to allow that marble to bloom and soften a little bit. The longer you leave the blooming gel wet with the marble on top, the more it will marble together and the more it will bloom. The quicker you pop it in, the less it will. So basically just give it a few seconds and watch it, and once you're happy of how your marble's looking, that's when you pop it in to cure. So I was really happy of how this was looking. It had already bloomed and softened out around the edges. I didn't want to cover up all of the cream base underneath because I wanted to go for that layered effect. So once I was happy with it, I popped that in to cure for 30 seconds. And then for our next layer, we're going to be doing some foils. So of course, I'm going to take the Kiki London foil gel. I absolutely love this foil gel. It's the absolute best one I have ever used. So I'm going to pop a thin coat of this down and cure that for 30 seconds. And then I'm going to take this matte gold foil. I went for a matte foil because I knew I was going to be matte top coating most of the nails in this set. So I thought I might as well use a matte foil, but I really love the effect of this one as well. And what I'm basically doing is just lightly tapping this down on 2 areas of the nail. I really don't want to cover up too much of the marble, but I want to have a background for my 2 stamped images. So I'm very lightly just pressing this down, creating that kind of rough abstract look. And then once I'm happy with that, it had taken over the nail a lot more than I'd wanted it to. So what I'm going to do is just take an old nail art brush. This is one of the Kiki London angled nail art brushes, but I saved this one for cleanup. So it does look a little bit battered because it's gone through a lot of acetone. But all I'm doing here is taking a tiny bit of acetone on my brush and just removing some of that foil. You're not going to affect any of your marble or gel polish design underneath because you have that layer of foil gel there anyway, but just very gently removing the foil just so we've got 2 kind of circular, rough circular patches of the foil. Then we're going to take that Miss Lucy UK April Shower stamping plate and we're going to stamp on these cute little flowers. I think they kind of look a little bit like daffodils. So I'm taking my black CJS stamping polish and I'm just going to cover the entire image with a generous amount of stamping polish. I'm also using the new Miss Lucy scraper here as well, which I'm really loving. Quick flick of the wrist and rolling that stamper across the image, and as you can see, it picked up beautifully. Now these little flowers I think are designed to be stamped upside down how they are on the plate, but for this particular design I wanted them the right way up, if that makes sense. So of course with stamping it's very versatile, so you can place your images however you like. Quick press down. I always like to do a little rock backwards and forwards, and that image has stamped down beautifully. We're then going to use the mirrored image, so it's the same image but flipped around the other way, which is brilliant if you're working on a client and doing both hands obviously, because then the nails can properly match. But I do like this for one nail designs as well because I just like the effect that it gives off. So same again, we've applied a generous amount of stamping polish, scraped off the excess, quick flick of the wrist to pick that image up, and then we're going to place it down over that gold foil. And overall, I really loved how all the elements in this nail worked together. On to the next nail, and we're going to be sticking with stamping, but this time we're going to be doing some reverse stamping, which isn't something I've done too much of, but I really love the look of. So I'm going to be using all CJS for the stamping polishes. I do add in a 3rd colour for the 3rd Easter egg. And I'm also going to be using the Kiki London detail brush to kind of do the reverse colour part of the stamping. So I'm going to just take my black CJS stamping polish to begin with, and that's what we're going to be using to do the outline of the image. And I have left the first image in real time for you guys. So I'm applying a generous amount of stamping polish, you know, exactly the same as I normally would. So scraping off that excess, picking up my stamper, rolling it across the image, and then taking my lint roller, I'm going to remove that excess image that we've picked up. And then I'm going to take the green. I can't remember the names of the CJS colours, but I will try and leave the numbers or the names in the description box below. So I'm just going to take a small amount of that on my detail brush, and I'm going to colour in the little dots on the image. So we're colouring it in directly on the stamper. Now when you are doing reverse stamping, I do find personally it works a little bit easier if you are stamping down onto a tacky layer. So I have got the tacky inhibition layer left from my cured gel polish still on the nail. I haven't wiped that off or top coated. We're going to stamp directly down onto that tacky layer, and I feel as though this helps pull the image completely off the stamper. So you could do this with as many colors as you liked. I kept each image with just the one color just to keep it a little bit simple. And then I'm just making sure there's enough gel polish, trying to keep it as neat as possible and staying in those lines. And this is how it looks once it's on the stamper. And then we're simply going to stamp down as we normally would. So I'm going to press down. I always do a little rock from side to side, and then we're going to pull off. And then I did notice one of the little dots up on the left hand side didn't have enough stamping polish down on there, so I'm just going to come in with a tiny amount on my brush and touch that up. But overall, this is a really easy but cute technique to do, and I definitely need to be doing more of it because I absolutely love stamping. So we're going to clean off the stamping plate with some acetone. Make sure you remove all of that excess or leftover stamping polish, as otherwise this will affect your next pickup. Then we're going to do exactly the same again, so generous amount of stamping polish, scrape, always a quick flick of the wrist. You do need to be really quick when you are stamping that first part of it anyway, where you pick the image up. I find once you've got the image down on your stamping plate, you can slow down a little bit. So this Easter egg has these cute little florals on there, which I thought was super cute, and I wish I'd actually done these in different colours, but like I said, I wanted to keep it quite simple because I don't do a lot of reverse stamping, and I also don't have a lot of coloured stamping polishes. I definitely need to widen my stamping polish collection. So we're going to colour those in, and I really loved how this one looked. I do wish I'd had more pastel stamping polish colours for this particular design, but I do quite like how having the bolder colours on the stamped images overall in the design stands out a little bit more from our pastel gel polish shades. And then lastly, we are going to do the third Easter egg because I wanted to make sure I used all 3 of these Easter eggs because it probably will be the only Easter set I have up on my channel. I have been a little bit flaky this past week on YouTube. I haven't uploaded simply because my children broke up from school last Friday for the Easter holidays. I've been super busy with my other job and I just haven't had a chance to get as many videos up on my channel. I did also work with Kiki London on their latest launch for the spring Macrons collection, so I was working on that video, which was an extra video over on their channel, which was brilliant to be part of, but it just has meant this week I've had no time to really create or upload. So as always, I never seem to do many Easter designs for whatever reason it was, so I had to make sure that I got all 3 of the Easter eggs because I can't imagine I'll use these images throughout the year, but the rest of this plate I definitely will be using throughout spring, so you will still see it featured on my channel. So there was the third Easter egg added down, and I wanted to add in a little bit of gold onto this nail because we're going to have a little bit of gold on all of the nails, so I wanted to make sure it all tied together. So I'm going to come over the top of the stamping with a thin layer of the foil gel, pop that in secure, and then I'm just going to come around the edges with some of that same foil that we used on the previous nail. And the whole effect I kind of felt I was going for with this vibe was we've got the Easter eggs, and then the gold foil kind of reminded me of when you unwrap an Easter egg, so I wanted to have it just broken up all around the edges of the nail. Again, I'm going to come in with a little bit of alcohol and just remove any of that foil that's overtaking the nail a little bit too much, kind of soften it up a little bit more to give it more of that broken effect. And I also wanted to make sure that there was no foil covering up the Easter eggs as well. Then once we have got that removed, that is this nail finished. I quite liked how this one turned out as well, but let me know in the comments below what was your favorite nail in this set. On to the third nail, we're actually going to be doing a marble French tip, but I'm going to come in first of all with my coconut. This is the white gel polish from Kiki London. I'm going to take my French brush just because I thought it would be a lot easier, and it was a lot easier to do the French this way. Obviously I want the marble, the French tip, but I thought it'd be easier to get the base and the outline of the French down with a white gel polish first of all. Personally, I struggle a little bit of French. They're not my strong point whether it comes to working with gel polish or acrylic, so having a base colour down first of all meant that I was creating all the shape of my French easily with my French brush, and then I can simply just pop down my marble and not have to worry about creating a super neat French shape. So as you can see, I've taken the French brush, which does make French application a lot easier, especially when you are working on short to medium length nails as well. So I'm just making sure basically that I've got a nice base of that gel polish down. So I did just come in with a little bit more coconut to even it out. It doesn't pop massively over a cream base, but I wasn't going for a too bold effect anyway. Then once that was cured, I'm going to take my blooming gel and mainly just apply this to the tip end of the French design. It doesn't matter too much if it doesn't go right down into the wings of the French tip. Then picking up my marbled gel polish, this is just what I had left over from the first nail. I'm going to just take this down into that blooming gel, exactly the same as what we did on the first nail, but I'm just being slightly careful that I don't come too far off of the French that we've created with the coconut. It doesn't matter if it comes over the edges a little bit because we are going to clean up with the round nail art brush at the end anyway, but I'm just predominantly trying to get it as neat as possible. Again, it does quite look, the overall look does quite look quite soft because of the base colour, but that's the look I was going for. If you wanted the French tip to stand out a little bit more, you of course could do a plain pink or nude base without one of the Macron colours. So here I'm just taking a little bit of acetone on my round nail art brush and just neatening it up and getting a nice crisp line for that French effect. So I'm only taking a small amount of acetone on my brush because I don't want to water down the gel polish or mess up that blooming gel effect too much. Then once I was happy with that, I popped that into Cure, and then this was where I remembered I better do a second coat of champagne spritz because I decided against the chunky glitter. So I'm just going to come in, apply a thin coat of that, and as you can see, it makes the colour pop a whole lot more. Then whilst I had that champagne spritz out, I decided that I wanted to come along the outline of the French tip with a little bit as well, because I hadn't added any gold into this design and I'd wanted to make sure that all of the nails did have a hint of gold so that it flowed nicely across the design. So I'm going to just take a small amount of this on my nail art palette, and then I'm going to take my striped liner brush, load it up with a generous amount of that glitter gel polish because I only want to do one coat of this. And then we're simply going to just come around and paint along that French tip, which again, this step is quite easy because you've already created the French. You just want to make sure that you haven't got too much gel polish on your stripe liner brush so that it flows nice and neatly. And then I'm just letting the brush do a lot of the work for me. So you don't want to apply too much pressure because then you're going to get a too thick line. And I'm predominantly using the middle to the tip end of the brush. I'm just going to come in with a little bit more, and you can see that I'm rolling my brush around in that gel polish, and that's just to make sure that I'm evenly distributing the gel polish through the brush and it's not all just sticking on the outer bristles. And then again, I'm going to take that round nail art brush and clean up. I was just faffing about here trying to get it as neat as possible. And then this, guys, is what the finished design looks like. All we need to do is come in and top coat. So I predominantly wanted this set of nails matte, but I really wanted the glitters to pop in the full glitter nail. So we are going to do that nail with a glossy top coat. But I'm going to start off with the Kiki London No White Matte Top Coat on the first 3 nails. Just applying a thin coat of this to all of the nails. This matte top coat does go on glossy, and then once you pop it in to cure, you are left with a beautiful velvety satin matte finish. I personally absolutely love a matte set of nails, especially when they're combined with some glossy glitters as well. I just love the contrast between the two. So here I'm going to take the No White top coat and apply this to the beautiful champagne spritz, and then once I have finished doing this, we're going to pop this in to cure for 30 seconds, and then that is the finished video. Now I really hope you all enjoyed today's video. I also wanted to say, if you have any requests, please do pop them in the comments below. I haven't done a subscriber request video in a little while, so do let me know if there's anything in particular you guys would like to see, whether it be a color combination or a specific design. Pop it below and I'll see what I can do. As always, all of the products I've used and the discount codes I have are listed in the description box below, so do check that out. I hope you all have a wonderful Easter weekend, whatever you are doing. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.